Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte. What's up, 49ers faithful? Jason Aponte back on the East Coast, away from training camp. Shout out to the Spicy Squad. Shout out to everybody who's tapping in right now. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know when we are going live. There's real football to be played this Friday, and that is facts. Shout out to everybody who showed love at training camp while I was out there. I don't think you guys understand how much like those little moments where you come up and you tell me, bro, I enjoy your content. Had somebody who was working at the 49ers facility say, can't wait to watch your live later. I don't think you guys understand how humbling that is and how much that motivates me, because sometimes you start to feel like you're speaking to nobody. But for everybody who taps in week after week, day after day, whenever we do these things, I am truly appreciative. Shout out to all of you. And Brad Graham right now is leading training camp with signatures signed. Like, this man is a celebrity. I signed one. This man has signed multiple. But that's not what you're here for. Spicy Squad, if you are a channel member right now, the link is in the community post. So you can call in, ask me anything that you want. And you guys can send in questions, ask me whatever you want about training camp. Can't get into specifics about what happened on days that I'm not there. But the days that I was there, I can tell you what I saw. And I will be forthright with that in any way. So, look, clearly the hot button topic is Trey Lance. And there are so many other positions on this team that are either in flux or you're trying to figure out what's going on with, but none more important than the development of the kid. Before I get into everything that is going on with Trey Lance, context I'll give you. I'll give you situations and I'll give you exactly what happened. But other quarterbacks are struggling who've actually played much more than Trey Lance from his draft class. You guys know who I'm speaking about. The Patriots have been absolutely terrible from all reports with their training camp. But Mac Jones doesn't get anywhere near the discussion that Trey Lance does with a guy who actually played for the year, and Trey Lance has just begun his career. So I ask you guys, what would you be more concerned about? Mac Jones, who is starting his second year, and yes, it is with a new play caller. I will grant him that. There's the context. Or would you be worried about a guy who is stepping into a situation with an elite play caller, elite play designer, but it's his first few reps? I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it again. Incompletions don't mean bad reps. Completions don't mean good reps. Let me give you an explanation of that. On an incompletion, Trey Lance can throw a beautiful deep ball to Deebo Samuel, fall right in his chest, perfectly placed. Emmanuel Mosley punches it out at the last moment. Incompletion for Trey Lance. Is that Trey Lance's fault? In the same breath, Trey Lance can leave a ball too high for Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk picks that thing out of the sky because he's been balling and that's who he is. Completion for Trey Lance. See what I'm trying to get at here? Completions don't necessarily mean good reps. Incompletions don't necessarily mean bad reps. Context is key. Who you're facing is key. All of these things matter. I don't care about numbers from camp. I stopped charting all of that. 3 for 12, 6 for 10. Stop that. You know why? On incompletions, I see things that are great. I see things that are beautiful. On incompletions or on completions, sometimes things are out of whack. But that's the nature of all of this. So again, we're on day 10. Let's calm down. And if we're 49ers fans on day 10 and you're worried about Trey Lance, you can have questions, you can have concerns for sure. As a Patriots fan, if I was watching year 2 of Mac Jones and the reports are coming out one after the other that this team can't run the ball, throw the ball, block, do anything, what worries you more? The Mac Jones thing worries me much more than a guy who has not played extended football. And Mac Jones is the guy that everybody crowns. Mac Jones is the guy that everybody who hates on Trey Lance points to, that they always wanted. Look at him. Well, now look at him. Keep the same energy Please. Like, that's the thing that's more than anything. Let's go. Let's see. Let's go through. Laquan wants to know, are you from North or South Jersey? I'm North Jersey. Closer to the city. Hoboken, Jersey City. You know the vibes up there too. Jason asks, what do you think about Snead and Mills? Snead is a very good run blocking wide receiver. He looks sharp. We watched his workout right after practice. He looked very good. He looks like a guy that, when they signed him, I was not shocked. That's how sharp he was. Mills is actually very interesting. He had one-on-ones, and he looked great in those extended reps. He's a starter in this league, veteran presence. I love it. Yeah, I thought this move was great. Brian, I see you in there, man. Just give me a sec. Let me get through my up. He dipped. All right. For everybody else that's calling in, I'll get to you guys. If you guys jump in, just give me a second. Let me get to all these questions and everything as well, too. Shout out to my boy Pedro. What's up, Joe? Hope you're feeling better, my guy. Ian Rappaport says that Trey Lance has had ups and downs in practice. He has. Hendricks, he has. But back to my point. I think we all knew bumps and bruises were coming, but it seems like people didn't want bumps to happen immediately. And they are. That's it. In the same way, it doesn't change the way that you project guys or anything like that. It just is what it is at this point. So I'm not going to I'm not overreacting to any of that at this point. Bring back Laundry Aponte. Nah, man, I had to get out of there. I had to get back over here. Like, no more laundry room. I did all my chores. I'm out at this point. You see it, my boy. You see it. You know. Caretaker, keep calm and subscribe. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you guys. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. You already know the vibes. All right, we got our first caller. Let's go, my boy Bryant. I love the Subway shirt. Is that you saying that you are Refresco Italiano?
Oh, man. I got to tell you, I did try the sandwich.
Is it good?
It's really good.
Oh, wow.
But, it's Jimmy's time's gone. And, yeah, that's my little fun shirt.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Did it let you down with the last few bites, or was it just good the entire way through?
Well, when I went in there and I said, well, I understand if you say cut, can you cut it? Because it's a toasted contract. They're supposed to give you 10% off. The lady at the cashier started laughing.
Wow. These are all good Jimmy jokes right now at this point. Let me get to this question real quick from Gray Fox. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for your generosity. Hello, Mr. Goat Ponte. My question is, what are those beehive things players have on the top of their helmets? It's the NFL's response to the fact that there has been crippling brain damage to many players that have played this game, and they're trying to do their best to curb that. So that's the best way to put it. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen are the ones that wear it since they're the ones going head up the most. So that's the best way to do it. Brian, what do you want to talk about, buddy? It's up to you, man. First of all, shout out to you, man, and thank you for tapping in, bro. What's up?
Well, I don't get to talk to you too much, and I probably won't talk too long, but I definitely wanted to call and say hey and ask you how your trip in California was. I can see you're back home.
It was amazing. I mean, I didn't get burnt. I have a tan. Like I wore sunscreen the entire time, Brian, but it was fun, man. It was great to be out there again. It's my favorite time of year, especially getting to be out there. The crowds were electric because they let so many more people into camp this year. And it was just good to see Grant, see Guy Haberman, see all those guys that we talk to all the time out there, see pads popping, things like that. It's again, I think that I sent out a tweet about this, but I want to reiterate it. We get caught up in the discussion so much that we want to dunk on people and all those things. Talking football is just fun. And I think we need to get back to that. I think that a lot of people just forget that this is supposed to be fun because it is fun. And that's something that I kind of remembered, being around Jordan and Brad and all those guys and the work that they're putting in. Shout out to them, man. They're going to be out there, so keep following them while I'm not out there. I'm going to be following them. That's where I'm going to get most of my stuff from because I trust them the most. But this is supposed to be fun. We're talking about a kid's game at this point. And I think that I, for a little while, lost sight of that. And I think a lot of people on Twitter and in certain spaces have lost sight of that. Let's get to this, and I'll ask you this real quick. So the Delondas Show asked, thank you for the donation, my guy. Should Trey play in the preseason? Brian, what do you want to see from Trey Lance? Friday's the first game. We got football on Friday. How much do you want to see Trey Lance?
Well, I was actually going to the Packer game. Shout out to my wife's aunt. She had bought 10 tickets in a row, and I got sick. I got that COVID.
Oh, so, no. You had that now?
No. It was about 2 weeks ago. So because of that, I used up all my sick time at work, and I'm just at this point, I'm no, I don't think that's probably the best thing for me to do. head to the Packer game. So I told her I can't do that. So me and my wife we're going to watch it from home. But I understand people saying, "Hey, don't play the starters." You know, and the mentality. Preseason's changed a whole lot. I'm used to us having 4 to 5 games a year in preseason. I'm used to people hitting with pads. I know now they're doing different things with the pads and now they're wearing the mushroom hats and stuff like that. I get that, and I know they changed kickoff and stuff. You know, I like special teams, so a lot of that stuff has changed the game, and they don't want people having concussions and stuff like that. And that's very important when you pay a player millions of dollars. You don't want them having brain concussion, but that can happen. And you know that's one of the things that hey, you're a warrior. You're my hero because you are playing a dangerous game. And shout out to my little girl.
Hey, hello, look at her. Oh,
She came in and had me, so I had to let her see. But no, I definitely understand. You don't want players getting hurt because it is a business, and you pay business. You pay so much money. But I like them playing 4 preseason games. I would like to see the quarterback Trey Lance play, the majority, just like how they normally do. The first series and first preseason game, then the second preseason game, maybe let him play 1 and 2 quarters. The third, we're going to see a little bit more of him. And then the fourth preseason game, we're going to see more of the backups. But for us right now, because he hasn't played so much, I would like to see him play the majority with the starters. And I would like to see maybe him play the first and second quarter all the way to halftime, all the preseason games with the starting offensive line, because right now everybody seems to be concerned with the offensive line. We don't really know what offensive line we're going to have out there. So for the pieces to be moving around and stuff, let's try to get him some kind of familiarity with what he's going to be seeing in a live game against people that know they're not trying to hurt him. We know our defense is really good and they might be the best, but they're not trying to hurt Trey Lance. These other defenses are. So let's get him out there and let's get him familiar with some of them. And then I understand the mentality of not starting him, but he needs to play. So I'd like to see him play the majority of the preseason. I don't believe in Nate Sudfeld. I understand the
Brian,
mentality of the team.
I'm gonna push back a little bit, man. I'm telling you, some of the nicest throws I've seen in training camp have been from Nate Sudfeld. You know who
And
I don't believe in? Brock Purdy's not good at football.
I don't believe that the team is going to say one player is bad or not bad. I've seen it, and I've seen it with Kittle. He does, stand behind his players, and I've heard him say at the Warriors game, Nate Sudfeld has that tight little spiral. So for me, I live in Stockton, California. The training camp used to be in Stockton, California. I used to be there every season that we were here. I haven't been to Santa Clara. I was going to go. I'm going to try to go, but I don't know if it's feasible right now at this point. But Nate Sudfeld, I know he's like one of the tallest guys we got. He's supposed to be able to throw the ball the deepest, but I just don't see it. And I'm not rooting against him or anything. It's just that's one of those things. And
Well, I'll say this, Brian, real quick, and I don't mean to cut you off. It's just
no. It's your show. I'll stop.
no, you're good, Brian. I want you to get, you're the only caller that's in here right now, guys. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you have to actually subscribe with being a channel member, and then check the community post. That's where the link will be if you want to join. But Brian, I want to pose this to you real quick. Not many people have good backup quarterbacks, right? Who would you say is probably the best backup quarterback in the league? Andy Dalton, who actually had to take snaps today because Jameis Winston got injured today in practice. More on that in a little bit, like in terms of what that means for one said quarterback on this roster. But it's never ideal for backup quarterbacks to play a bunch. Like if Zach Wilson went down and Joe Flacco had to start, that's not cool. Nobody wants that. If Daniel Jones went down and Tyrod Taylor had to start, sure, Tyrod Taylor is serviceable, but that's not cool. There's not really too many backup quarterbacks that you feel good about regardless. That's why they're backups. And I would pose this. If it's a 1 or 2 game thing, right? We've seen Colt McCoy win games for the Cardinals. Yeah, right? But I would say with extended reps, 4 games, 5 games, having to play that many, you would start to see the cracks more and more. So there's just not really too much, there's not really too many good backups is the best way I could put it. Let's see this real quick. From Chris, appreciate you, bro. With Jimmy potentially staying on the roster so they cut to 53, don't mess around and get Lance hurt in preseason. Just use him normally in them. And yeah, I'll address this real quick. I think that you're going to see Lance for probably 1 drive the most. I think where you're going to get your biggest clue into Trey Lance and where he's at is going to be the joint practices with Minnesota. And here's why. The 49ers play 3 preseason games in 12 days. That doesn't seem right in any way to do that to them. And then you have 17 days off into the season. So you can't run Trey out there. You can't run those guys out there early on. The joint practices, those 2 joint practices, you're really going to see where Trey is at. Sure, he may get a rep or 2 here and there in that Minnesota game, but I'm not looking for him to be in many of these games. I'm not looking for any of these starters to be in any of these games because they've got to get these 3 games done in 12 days and get to the season healthy. That's the problem. I think you're going to see a bunch of guys who are fighting for roster spots, but I think Kyle Shanahan was annoyed with the way that they did this, and he was already talking about, I need to get them in, get them out. I just the scheduling is a little bit baffling. What do you think about that?
I agree. I don't think the scheduling is right. I think what they're going to end up eventually do is we're going to end up seeing 2 bye weeks. I think a lot of people are pushing for that, and that's fine with me. But give us back another preseason game.
Eric Crocker believes Eric Crocker's what you send the 49ers back to Stockton.
I believe when they're at UOP, they had a really good facility. I was down there multiple times. I was in the locker room. We used to have a stadium. I thought it was a good fit, but Stockton gets really hot. And they said the reason that they were leaving Stockton was UOP didn't want to upgrade the ACs in the locker room, the weight equipment. And for UOP not to upgrade, that seems really weird. And this is my little conspiracy, but if a lot of people don't know, this is really actually true. Alex Spanos owns the Chargers. He passed away. Now his son Dean Spanos owns the Chargers, or owns the majority of the Chargers. Alex Spanos is a longtime Stocktonian. He also loves the 49ers. He tried to buy the 49ers. So for a couple of years there, while the Niners were in Stockton, the main reason they got brought to Stockton is because of Alex Spanos and the funding. His name's all over UOP. So there's a good reason that they were able to use UOP as a facility. Now, UOP is the University of Pacific. It's home of the Tigers. Nobody knows about that, but he didn't make the deal. And it's really weird. All this was happening when Eddie DeBartolo got in trouble. So they were trying to shift the team from Eddie to Alex Spanos, but he had the Chargers. But he would end up having to let go of the Chargers. The deal fell through. But they actually had a preseason game in Stockton against the Chargers. It was supposed to be, Niners and Chargers, a real preseason game at the stadium. And right before it happened, it was going to be like our 6th preseason game. And right before it happened, it all got changed to a practice. So you've seen Steve Young on the field with their defense, and you've seen their quarterback on the field with our defense, splitting it from like the 40s. And the whole stadium was full. They told everybody it was going to be a game, and it turned out to be a practice. So that was a bummer. But the reason the Niners left Stockton was because the deal fell through, and Alex Spanos did not buy the Charger. Did not buy the Niners.
That's great insight. That's something that I wouldn't have known, basically, because I'm on the East Coast and I would have never known any of those things. Brian, I appreciate you, bro, for tapping in with that story. That is great. And Croc's in here, man. He was moving back from Stockton back and forth to go to practices and everything as well, too. So, Brian, we got some other callers, man. I appreciate you tapping in. Anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to talk about before I get to these other callers so they don't sit here waiting too long?
No, man. Thanks for having me on. I'll try to call in again. I tap in when I can get a chance. I support a whole lot of people, so sometimes I can always come in and punch the like real quick. But I appreciate what you do, and I'll see you around on Twitter. You have a great day.
Hey,
thanks again.
Appreciate you, Brian. As always, man. You're always one of the better callers. You always support.
Well, I don't know about that. I usually have like personal stories. I don't necessarily have the statistics.
Hey.
But
I'm
a kicker and a third string quarterback, so I'm not the most knowledgeable about football.
Hey, people want to know, man, and you're great, man. I always appreciate you tapping in, man. Appreciate you for being here, bro. As always, man. Take care of that little girl and enjoy the rest of your night, my guy.
Once again, I'll talk to you soon. Good night.
All right, later, man. Shout out to Chris Royal becoming a YouTube member. Shout out to you, man. We got some extra callers in here. Swan Song, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Jason? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for calling in. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, let's face it. Every 49er fan wanted to see Trey Lance have 90% completion rate and all that stuff, but that wasn't going to happen. We got a lot of splash plays, and I figure if Jimmy was in camp this year, right?
Mhm.
I don't think they're running the same type of plays that they're running with Trey. If I had to, I mean,
Okay.
I'm not saying all of it, but
Mhm.
I don't think you'd see the outside the number throws and the longer throws because Kyle knows what he has in Jimmy, right? He doesn't know what he has in Trey, right? Not definitively, right?
Mhm.
So they do their install during the 17 days that they're off, right? So at that point, you want to spend all this practice time to see what Trey's good at, to see what Trey struggles at, and things like that, and you form your install then. Not saying that they're going to give up on the things that Trey's not great at right now,
Mhm.
and it sounded like he was running for his life a lot of the time. So it's like that's going to mess everything up, and you're adding it to a kid that's 22 years old, that is we know that is changing his mechanics, right? Like I know that you played ball, right? Like you played basketball. Did
Oh
you
yeah.
change your mechanics? You're at any point?
Never.
Okay,
The one thing my dad put on me was that jumper needs to be sweet like that. It needs to look beautiful, but at the same time, and we've all played pickup ball, and I know we're talking mechanics. There's guys that I would have the sweetest motion, but it wasn't going in. There's guys that were throwing it in over the top of their head, but it goes in. So I don't care how it
yeah,
goes in
right,
if it goes
exactly.
in.
And then like I don't like everyone like all the it's kind of just feeds it to itself. When I see Trey Lance, when I see him throwing, I don't see like people are saying, "Oh, it looks awful." It doesn't look awful to me.
Mm.
It looks fine to me, right? There might be little things that people nitpick. I get that. But it doesn't look awful to me. It doesn't look like Tim Tebow or like what people are making it seem like. There's like it's crazy. So, I do get fans. Like I think the fan base is made up of a big spectrum of different people, right? So it's like some fans, they need to see it, right, for it to happen, and they're going to be negative about it until they're shown it, because it's easier that way. Let's face it. If you don't expect anything from Trey, right, and then he balls out, it's a win-win situation for you, right? But then if you're rooting for Trey and he doesn't do as well, that's the harder road, right? I'm not saying everyone needs to go the harder road. So I get that people lose their faith, and well, I shouldn't even say faith because that's a bad, I understand, but at the
Right.
same time, the people stop losing your minds. It's August freaking 8th. Nothing has started, and Jesse made a great point today on Spaces, and he says, "We seen Trey play, guys. We saw him play 7 months ago." And yeah, it was up and down, but at the end of the day, that second half of the Texans game, after a not so great first half, which he was 10-12, by the way, or 10-13.
Made it seem like he was like 6 for 13 in that
Yeah.
game, but
Do
yeah,
you think he got worse? Like,
no.
come on. Like, come on, get out of here. So it's like, it's going to be fine. And then add on top of that, look at it this way. How many gimme plays do you think Kyle is going to have week 1 for Trey?
A ton,
Yeah.
and most of the offense is gimme plays. Like it's not necessarily progressions, especially under Jimmy. It's defined reads. Here's where you go with the ball, and if it's not there, you got something else. But the other thing, obviously, that Trey can do is when it's not there, he's actually done a good job in camp of checking down, but he can take off.
Right. Yeah. And then that it adds that whole element of making the run game better for him just being there, right? Like defenses are going to have to be honest, because let's face it, even though we were able to run the ball last year, it was hard, dude. It was the hardest I've seen it. Like they had to do all this. They had to do more. I had a lot more respect for Shanahan last year. Remember that, I think it was after the Green Bay game where Kittle was like, "Man, they're putting 6 in the box, and Kyle and Mike have to figure it out, but I believe in them." Hey, they figured it out, dude.
They
I
did.
mean, whether it was adding Debo in there, adding another block, making Kittle kind of stay at the line of scrimmage more, they figured it out, and they're going to do the same thing for Trey. So, and then add on top of that the big plays that Trey will be able to do. I get people's concern. Even Jack Hammer, everyone's been hard on him this week. I get his concern. He wants Trey to do the underneath stuff, right? Too, right? Because don't abandon that. They're not going to abandon that. Kyle's not dumb. I don't think he's dumb, right? They're not going to all of a sudden be, oh, we're going to toss the ball 40 times now. You know, it's not going to be like that.
And that's been my stance the entire time, Swan Song. And I'm gonna get you out of here because we have another caller real quick. But I want to say this before I let you go. That's been my stance. The 49ers are not gonna throw the ball more now. They're gonna throw the ball less more than anything. And that has to do with some of it design runs, which you haven't really seen too much in training camp. It's gonna have to do with the fact that they're going to want to do the same things. The defense is gonna be better than they were last year. If all these things keep up, they're gonna be in good spots. I don't see them throwing the ball more. But what you will see is some more throws downfield. So here's the best way I could put it. Let's say Trey Lance goes on one drive, 2 for 6, right? 4 throws not completed. The 2 that were completed, one was a 50-yard shot that got them down to the 5. The next one is a touchdown. Do you think I care about completion percentage when it's 2 for 6? I don't understand this hang up on completion percentage when Sam Bradford led the league and he set the record for completion percentage in one season. I don't care. That doesn't necessarily make him good. That's my point.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And it's like, I think a lot of fans, they want everything to be pretty. They want everything to be, 65% because I can now cape for my star that has all the numbers that, ESPN says that's great. Right? It doesn't have, if we're winning the game and it looks effective, then you should not care,
That's it. If he completes 2 of them and both of them, let's say he goes on a game and he has like 13, but he has 4 explosive plays and 3 of them are touchdowns. You think I care? No. I don't care. No. As long as he's not turning the ball over and as long as he's getting key third downs to go forward, which is what he did in that move the ball period at the end of practice. That was electric right after the pick 6. That was the best drive that he's had the entire training camp. Swan Song, I'm going to get you up out of here, man. Thank you, man, for calling in. Appreciate you, bro. Always see you in the chat. Appreciate the support. And, enjoy the rest of training camp while you can. Friday's a game, and we're going to have actual football to discuss, man. I hope you're as hype as I am.
Oh, really hype. Thanks, Jason. I'll stay
on. All right, man. Later, man. All right, guys. So 27 minutes in, I see over 100 people in here. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. A lot of content this week as we ramp up for game 1 with the Green Bay Packers. Got another caller, Greatness 54. What's up, my guy? I thank you for being patient, bro. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for being patient, bro.
No, it's all good, man. It's part of that spicy squad. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, let's get it, man. What you want to talk about?
Well, no, just to back off what Swan Song said, you know what I mean? That's why we have to carry like 5-6 backs because it was such a brutal season for us, for our running backs. That's why Elijah Mitchell couldn't stay healthy because, man, we ran the ball. What was that one game? 41 times? Mm-hmm. That's crazy, right? And like you always speak on it, but it's just, our fandom gets the best of us and, we got to manage our expectations, right? We're not, we want the next John Elway or the next Joe Montana, but realistically, you gotta see what you got.
Yeah, and the other thing is this: Trey Lance is playing quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. That's a landmark position in sports, the same way point guard for the Lakers is, center for the Boston Celtics, shortstop for the New York Yankees. Like these are landmark positions. Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Like, even if it's like, so the fan base, especially the older fans, remember Joe and Steve. And you're chasing that. And Trey Lance is in that same boat. So while there will be patience with Trevor Lawrence, because the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback position isn't exactly coveted, there'll be patience with Justin Fields and all those other guys. Trey stepping into one of the landmark positions in this game. In the sports, forget this game, in sports. So, yeah, there's going to be people. The other thing is, combine that with the fact that this roster is ready to go, Super Bowl roster. Yeah. Jordan Elliott of Niners Nation has made this point. I'm not all the way disagreeing with him. I just can't say it just yet, but I love the sentiment. He said he thinks this is the best roster since 2012. And it's hard to argue with that, especially now with this secondary, right? Yeah. We haven't seen it on the field. It is something that we've only seen in training camp. But when you think about the coverage that this team has now with already pairing, and Nick Bosa's incredible, man. Javon Kinlaw has been taking his strides. He looks great. Fred is Fred. You know what it is. It's not crazy to think that. So I think when you think about the landmark position, the impatience of the fan base because they're so close to a Super Bowl, right? Like with this roster, it only heightens the anxiety around those training camp reports.
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Like everybody's always like, man, they want this and this. But again, I'll go back to this point. If Trey was 12 for 12 and they were all halfback screens, does that make you feel better than if he goes 2 for 13, but he's pushing the ball down the field and like maybe one's a drop, one's an overthrow, one's a PBU, one is a sack because like everybody's in his face. Like that's where context needs to become paramount as opposed to raw numbers, especially when you're seeing what you're seeing on the field. And the growth, in my opinion, from training camp all the way through his first season can't be quantified with numbers. His numbers could look really bad by the end of the year. But if the 49ers are in the playoffs and Trey Lance is taking no strides, and we all agree at the end of the year, we've got ourselves a guy, damn the stats. Keep the stats. Peyton Manning led the world in interceptions. I'm not trying to compare him to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning led the world in interceptions. Guess what? He turned out pretty good. Josh Allen couldn't fall out of bed and hit the floor. Guess what? He's pretty good. So again, patience needs to be had, but with this fan base and the team and the position, I just think that the patience wears a little thin with this fan base at times. I don't know if you agree with that.
No, I do agree with that because people have this idea that Trey Lance is going to come out and just throw 50-yard bombs, like right out the gate, right? But it's not about that. It's because with Jimmy Garoppolo, you saw those safeties come up and cheat and your versus more different fronts because he couldn't take the top off. Trey Lance is going to keep you honest, right? And that's another trick. And then he can, when the pocket breaks down, he's going to run around, and then it's backyard football. And it's like you got 3 seconds to cover. And if you get into those 4, 5, 6 seconds, someone's wide open, and he can make that happen.
So my thing is this too, and I made the point earlier about like if 2 of the 6 attempts end up being a bomb for a touchdown and then a touchdown or something like that, I'm cool with it. What I've been noticing is it's just inconsistent from time to time. He'll have a clean pocket, wide open, everything right, like able to step up, and he hits one of those Jimmy interceptions over the middle to like Fred. But then there's a guy in his face, and he's throwing the thing down the field, and it like lands in. These are the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows that I think all of us suspected was going to happen with Trey Lance. But again, I don't think the fan base, even the people who shared that sentiment, were ready to have this thrown at them immediately, because I'm not going to lie to you. There was one practice where Trey was missing deep balls where guys were wide open pretty far. But Jimmy would never even attempt those, right? Yeah. The explosive plays will make up for the efficiency, and it will all be on the back of complementary football, running the ball, playing defense, the best play designer in the league that everybody steals from. And it doesn't hurt to have the best offensive weapon in the league, probably the number 1 or 2 tight end in the league, and a guy who I am predicting to have the most receiving yards, the most receptions and touchdowns, and has been an absolute dog, Brandon Ayuk. All of these things are going to mask the deficiencies. What we need to see is growth. That's it. Bottom line, we need to see growth. And I hate to sound like this, but week 1 against the Bears, Trey Lance is going to drop back and say, there's not a guy in front of my face. Oh, wait, that guy's actually open. Oh, wow, look how easy it is when you're not facing a top 3 defense. Sure, you're going to face better defenses down the road, but I think week 1 is going to be a pleasant surprise. And there's been plenty of examples of quarterbacks who have struggled in preseason and camp, and they've come out firing, and they were fine the entire year. There's been plenty of examples, Trent Sherfield, of people who kill it in camp and don't do anything. So again, don't overreact. What the best thing I can give to everybody, right? And this is a life lesson. Forget football. Gather as much information as you can so you can get to your decision. 1 or 2 bad days is not going to define Trey Lance in the same way that 1 or 2 good days is not going to get a gold jacket wrapped around his back. Like, that's the part. We're all going through the motions. We're all watching training camp, and we're all taking this in, and we're all trying to make our own assessments. The people who are steadfast in what they want to see for their narrative have already made up their mind. No amount of information is going to change their mind one way or another. So shout out to you, man. Thank you for calling in. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about? I like that hat, man. 49ers versus everybody.
Thanks. No, yeah, that's how we do. No, the other thing that drives me, because sometimes I to get my contact, I rock like Grant Cohn, and then I want to jump off a bridge because he talks about the offensive line, and then I hear Brad, and then he walks me off the ledge. You know what I mean? I'm just
all right. Let me tell you, I understand the concerns, right, with the offensive line, right? Because no offensive line, you can't win. We've seen that. You can't win. You got 2 spots already locked. You got 3 spots already locked, in my opinion. You got your tackles, they're fine. You got your right guard. Spencer Burford's your right guard, and he's been very good. I think Aaron Banks is going to be the left guard. He's been getting most of the reps. That center position, which is so vital, which is so important, that's the one that they need to nail down and figure out. Once they figure that out, and I think we've seen this offense at its heights when center's playing well. Weston Richburg, Alex Mack, that's what the offense can be. But then when it's not solid and solidified, that's when you get Cronus Grasu. And you get moments where Brunskill had to do things like that, right? And Brunskill was a little inaccurate with some of his snaps, stayed after practice with Trey Lance, did all of those things. And that's good. That's what you want to see. It doesn't feel like there's a leader in the clubhouse at center. So you might have 4 spots already locked. Aaron Banks did a great job in the last practice I saw, opening up a lane for Elijah Mitchell, who's looked much better. And the running backs have come on a lot. But I understand that concern. I am not nearly as concerned, while I have concerns about the offensive line, as others. Like, it's not a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a recipe for disaster, right? Like, I think I've seen worse offensive line alignments under him, and we're going to figure this out. And also, Trey's going to mask a lot of that because he can move, right? Feel it, move, get out of the way, throw the ball away, or throw it to somebody. He's not going to be a statue in the pocket. So let me calm you. Let me use me to calm your fears. It's nowhere near as bad as, not just Grant. I'm just talking about like everybody who's like talking about it, like, and is worried about it. It's nowhere near as bad, in my opinion. But it is a concern. I will say that it's okay to be concerned about.
Yeah, and this Friday when they play the Packers, that's what I'll be watching most of, is just offensive, defensive line, just to see where we stand. Know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. And look, I'm going to get you out of here, bro. Thank you for tapping in and everything as well, too. But Friday, you should be looking for the guys on the back end. Like, someone asked a question on one of Brad's lives, and I didn't know how to answer it because I felt that the question, I didn't have a good answer to it, because it was who's going to be a surprise cut on the defense and who's going to be a surprise cut on the offense. A surprise cut to me implies someone who you believe was going to be a starter and is going to be cut, or somebody that you thought was going to contribute. And I don't see that. I don't see that. I think there's going to be good football players cut on both sides, but they weren't going to necessarily start, and it's just a numbers game at this point. So what you should be looking for on Friday is, who are the guys that are going to fill out this roster? You need 53 guys. Who are going to be the guys that fill out this roster? Will Jason Poe make it? Does Donovan West continue to capitalize on those one-on-ones that he was doing well on the offensive line? What's going to happen with my guy Jordan Mason, who has been absolutely crushing it? And I will make the argument that he's been the most consistent running back every single day at camp. Elijah Mitchell's turned it up. Trey Sermon's played better. TDP's been playing better. Jeff Wilson is actually getting that burst back. Jermichael Hasty looks good in his one-on-ones. But Jordan Mason has been the best and most consistent running back. I don't know how he doesn't make this team. So that's what you should be looking for, the back-end guys. If Jordan Mason gets cut, someone else will sign him immediately. He has been that good every single day that I've been there.
All right, my guy.
All right, man. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for tapping in.
Keep it up, man. Keep that hustle, that grind. I'm watching every day, man.
I appreciate you, man. And we definitely will. Going to be a bunch of shows this week. We're doing a post game, all that stuff, man. So, yeah, man, definitely tap in with us. The football content will not stop. I promise you, bro.
All right, my dude. Take care.
All right, man. Later. Yeah, consistent enough for Mason to stash? Yeah, I'm stashing him everywhere, Raymond. Stashing him everywhere. So, 40 minutes in. 150 people in here. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live. Members of the channel have the link. Let's get a little fun. Maybe I drop the link in here. What do you think? I drop the link in here and let you guys who aren't Spicy Squad members join. Like, what do you think? I will say this. What's going to happen Friday is you might not see a lot of your favorite starters. That's fine. There's plenty of people on this team that need to figure out where they are. The secondary is stacked. All of those things. This is a very, very good roster. And all of it hinges on quarterback play. I get that part. But I trust the coaching staff. I trust the coaching staff on both sides does an amazing job of masking deficiencies, not just cornerback. Not just quarterback. Let me explain. Tom Compton was almost out of the league. Kyle Shanahan made you believe that Tom Compton was the best run blocking right tackle. Guess what? He got another deal with Denver. Ambry Thomas started in his first game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Guess what D'Amico did? He put him out of harm's way, and he had a lot of people wondering if Ambry should start or if Ambry should get more run. This coaching staff knows what to do with deficiencies, knows how to mask those things. Done it with quarterback. Done it with, Talanoa Hufanga. He's been in 3 safety sets. He's been closer to the line. Guess what? Positioned to succeed. So why you're concerned about the quarterback, why you're concerned about this and that player, this coaching staff is not going to allow that person to get burnt, put in bad spots, or put in spots where their deficiencies will come to the surface. You can work on all of that, but this coaching staff is not going to let them fail in that way. That is insane to me to think that. And that's all we're just talking about, like pretty much at this point. All right, let's do this. I'll do 20 more minutes. Let's see how many people we get. I'll drop the link right here. And shout out to everybody who's in here, almost 140 people in here. If you want to join in the conversation, hit that button right there. I just dropped the link in there. Join in. Got to show me your face. Swan Song's a member. That's a little bit different. Got to show me your face just in case people want to be a little funny or whatever, anything like that. Say some out-of-pocket shit. You're not going to get me in trouble or anything like that. But anybody wants to know anything about what I saw at training camp, anything like that, put it in the chat. Let me know, and I'll give you the best that I can. A lot of what I watched in training camp was Trey Lance. I'm a big wide receiver, secondary guy. The wide receivers that have obviously played well, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel's working himself back into shape. Juwan Jennings has had some drops. Danny Gray has had moments where he flashes that speed, but also has his issues getting off of press man. For now, he seems like a guy that Kyle Shanahan's going to have to scheme open. Ray McLeod's actually been pretty good as well, too. And that's Malik Turner is a guy that I think might be able to make the team as well, too. So there's a lot of players on this offense that we've got to figure out what they want to do, how they value them, and things like that. If you guys aren't subscribed to Niners Nation audio podcast, do that. Leo Luna, we just recorded Oh Hey There, and I'll give you a quick preview. He kind of floated the idea that the 49ers should be in on OBJ to come in at the end of the year. I pushed back a little on that because I don't think they will do that at all. But he makes a good point for, at this point, the depth, right? God forbid something happens to Deebo. God forbid something happens to Ayuk. What are we doing? Like where do you go? Juwan Jennings has struggled with drops and separation, unfortunately. That's not good at this point. So again, while I'm not ready to overreact and write guys off, it's the depth portion of it that I think was his point. So he was talking about bringing him in at the end of the year. And who knows when that'll be. I push back on that. But I don't disagree with the sentiment about this depth on the wide receiver group, because if Juwan Jennings doesn't take that next step, if Ray McLeod isn't that guy that they think he is, if Danny Gray needs a little bit more time than normal, I mean, you're going to have wide receivers that are going to get open, especially for Trey Lance. So that's the thing. It's more about, wait a minute. Who hit a home run in the All-Star game and won All-Star game MVP? Was it off of a Dodger? I'm just trying to remember. I don't know. Was it? Oh, it was. Stop it, man. We'll see you in the World Series. But the thing is all of these things it's worthy to at least talk about at this point. Again, it doesn't mean that that's set in stone. Juwan Jennings, anything like that. The way Danny Gray is, yeah, they can grow, but the depth kind of has to have you a little bit nervous. At least with the 49ers room, like the running back room, There's guys that you know that have performed, right? Jeff Wilson's performed, things like that. So, like, all those things that we're talking about at this point, it's all early. All of those things, it's too early to make any sort of grand sweeping statements at this point. And look, Danny Grace had moments. He's actually caught a pass from Brock Purdy down the field, which is insane because Brock Purdy's terrible, man. I hate to talk crazy about people, but I'm tired of people in my mentions telling me that Brock Purdy should be a guy who like starts or like should be on his team. He's gonna practice squad guy at best, man. And it just sometimes when he's on the field, everybody's like, oh, like you hear just a Frank, like, oh, like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe he's taking reps. Like, let's get to Lance. Like at this point, everybody wants to see Lance get more reps, but they're somehow still giving it to Brock Purdy, who one breath will throw a nice pass and you'll look at it. The next breath you'll look and say, what on earth was that? So yeah. Let's see what we got here. Frank the Tank, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you, man? What's going on for you? What's going on with you tonight?
I'm just getting in some cardio watching your live stream, man.
Hey, there you go, man. How's that cardio treating you?
I'm sweating, man. I'm out here in Texas, so it's hot, man. I'm in my garage. It's hot.
What do you want to talk about, bro? I don't want to keep you in there sweating too much. I'm sweating. It's 92 degrees right now at 9:46 in New York, man. So, yeah, I mean, I left Cali.
Brutal.
I left Cali, and Cali people were complaining about 83 degrees and saying it was too hot. I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, that's
Man,
nothing.
we've been in triple digits, man, for a while out here in Texas, man. Yeah,
Insane.
it's brutal. It's
What do you want
brutal,
to talk
man.
about, bro?
I was gonna ask you, what do you think about this Trey Greenlaw? And as you start here, man, is this a proven year for Greenlaw? Otherwise, he's out, or what your thoughts were, man?
I love Aziz, and I've been on record saying that I would love to see Aziz get the brunt of these snaps, but
Yeah.
the coaching staff is in on Greenlaw. So the example is they start on base downs 4-3, and the three are Aziz, Greenlaw, and Warner. But when they need to take someone off the field to bring in Darquise Dennard or Samuel Womack at nickel, it's Aziz that comes off.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I think that's your biggest clue to how they view him. It was easy to slap a second round tender on Aziz because nobody's going to pay that. And that's how much they thought of him because they do value him in that way. But they're both in a contract year. And if I had to put a guess on who is going to get signed of those two, it's probably going to be Greenlaw. I do want to say this. He's gone to the Velvet Do-Rag, and that's a little bit now more like, oh, man, like this guy's not messing around. Like, and I'm like, so I'm standing there, and I'll tell you a quick story. I'm standing there, I'm talking to Guy Haberman, and we're just like, shooting the shit and everything.
Yeah.
And, I've been critical of Dre Greenlaw. So Jordan Elliott, who actually was media credentialed, shout out to my guy. He was out there. We link up after practice, and he's like, dude, Greenlaw said your ass is grass. He's coming for you, man. And I'm like, oh, God, man, what are you talking about? Like, so I'm talking with Guy Haberman. We're standing there. Dre Greenlaw's making a beeline, like, towards me. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is my Kinlaw moment. This is when Dre Greenlaw picks me up and, like, body slams me.
Yeah.
Now, he went and walked right over to the water and everything, and he just, like, took a little drink of water. But
he faked you
Guy
out,
Haberman, yeah, he did. But Haberman did tell me this. The day of the fights that were going on, which there was two of them, he said that Dre Greenlaw was pacing and like circling around, like muttering to himself, like, and just hyping himself up the entire time. Seems like a guy who is just like dialed in, locked in right now at this point, and I can't argue with that.
Yeah, he seems like he's got the fight in him this year. That's why I'm like, man, I don't know. Greenlaw might step up big this year for us, which would be good.
Yeah, and look, the 49ers have the best linebacker core in the game, and it's hands down. But my argument has been your linebacker core isn't the best in the game because of just Fred and Greenlaw. It's because it's Fred, Greenlaw, and Aziz. And
it's that depth.
Right, that's what I mean. Nobody has three guys like this. Like Aziz is going to go somewhere and get paid next year. Hopefully they find a way to make it happen. But on base downs, they are running a three, but Aziz is the first one off the field when the nickel has to come in, whoever it is. So, yeah.
100%, man. 100% agree with you, man. Well, I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no problem, Frank, man. Hey, get that cardio in, man, and don't sweat too much, man. It looks like it, bro. Appreciate you, bro.
The block stays hot, man. I love you guys.
Hey, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, man.
Later, man. That's a good one, man. That's so good for you guys tapping in. So 50 minutes in, almost 140 people here, man. Shout out to everybody that's in here. I love the discussion. Love to talk. I'm appreciative of all you guys in here. It's really hot over here right now, so I think I'm probably going to call it right now. But we will do this more and more, especially as we get closer to the actual games and during game day. Like game weeks and everything during the season is going to be filled with content, filled with the chances for you guys to interact with me. I love all of you guys, and I appreciate all of you. I swear, man, it's so humbling. It's so humbling to just have somebody run up and say, man, I appreciate you, bro, for what you do. Here I am just thinking I'm just some idiot in front of Batman stuff, which I am. But, you know, to see everybody tap in and show the love, man, it really, really means a lot, man. And I will never take it for granted. So I want to say, keep your head up. Don't worry about it. There's 2 more practices, I think, for training camp. And then after that, it's closed off for everybody. So they're just going to be doing install stuff like that. Friday is your first game. I want to promote some stuff before I go. If you guys want to draft in a best ball draft against me, I posted it on Twitter. You can join Underdog Fantasy. Make sure when you deposit, you use the promo code APONTE, APONTE, to double your first deposit up to $100. I am going to start doing pick'ems, over-unders, things like that, so you guys can get involved. If you want to join, play against me in fantasy football, make some money with me when we do the pick'ems, make sure that you guys sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code APONTE, APONTE. Friday, I will be doing a stream of the game with Akash, Vish, Rich Madrid on Get Playback, which is something that we're rolling out. Shout out to Sam of the Light Years podcast for putting us on. So if you guys want to watch the game with us and you don't want to hear whoever it is that's working the game on NFL Network, anything like that, tap in with us. It's like a Spaces Clubhouse style where you guys can listen to us, give our feedback, and you can put in the chat and we can bring guys up to talk and things like that. So look out for that as well. And then Friday after the game, you'll see a post-game show where we go over everything. So content is filling up. We got a lot of stuff going on. So again, shout out to everybody for being here. Shout out to everybody for tapping in. Even Hendricks, who is making fun of my Yankees. They do stink right now. I will give you that. But shout out to everybody, man. Thank you guys for tapping in. And as always, let's go Niners. Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte.